Hey guys, Hikaru cosplay here, and I kind of wanted to do a quick recap vlog about how Castle Point Anime Convention went. Castle Point Anime Convention, just to start off, has been a very long time con for me. I first went in 2009, back when I was really small. Didn't even cosplay when I went the first time. So it's something that I've come to know very well. I did not go last year because it was scheduled the same exact weekend as ZenkaiCon, and I have more of an obligation and a love of going to ZenkaiCon than I do Castle Point. Castle Point is one of those cons that's grown a lot in attendance, but it has nowhere to grow. In my opinion, it really needs to start expanding more. The campus is great, I will admit that, but there were a lot of problems with size. This year they started a Saturday preview day. Personally, I think they should extend into a full Saturday. It was great to have that preview day because a lot of people picked up tickets, and that helped lighten the load for the Sunday pickup, which was really great. That was like the smoothest running thing about the entire convention was the badges, and I didn't even do badges like that. I was a panelist. I did 2 panels with friends, so I'll talk about that in a moment. But I think they should really extend Saturday because it's one of those cons that goes really fast and has a lot of programming, and the programming has it has no space for itself. You've got too much going on in one day, in my opinion. And that it makes it harder when something goes wrong, or, you know, it's hard, not as many locations. You're trying to jam pack a lot into one day. The big space issue was the dealer's room / artist alley. I didn't even go in this year because the line was 1 hour to 2 hours wait. Really bad. I had too much going on. If I didn't have all those panels to do, or this other photo shoot, or the cosplay contest that I entered with Kinetic Cosplay, I would have been able to go. From what I heard, it was really nice. But a lot of artists and dealers lost money because people skipped out on the dealer's room or couldn't even get in because the line was so bad. I get the whole fire code and fire marshal thing, but it's time to expand, honestly. It's time to start fixing that problem because that was one of the big problems. The other big problem about the con was disorganization of the events. I am not the most organized person, I will state. My room looks like a mess. I lose things all the time, but when it comes to event organization, it is like one of my biggest pet peeves to not be organized. Before I say anything negative about the con, I will say that I really did have a fun time. I really enjoyed seeing people that I don't necessarily get to see a lot, hanging out with friends. It's a very good hangout con. It's great for beginner cosplayers and convention attendees. I will say, as a veteran, I say that very loosely. As a regular convention goer and someone who regularly goes to big events, I feel like I've kind of outgrown this con, and that may be one of the issues. So I will say the staff was very nice. They were very nice people. They're just not organized people. The biggest thing was the panels. I had a lot of issues with panel registration. I registered when they first came out, and lesson learned, don't register for something when it first comes out at this con, because I was sent an email saying my panel was accepted, and I was like, okay, and he was just questioning about like some scheduling things because I'd asked for it to not be scheduled during the costume contest because I planned to enter that. But the subject of the email said panel acceptance. Now one would think you were accepted. I get an email like a week or so later, and he goes, oh, I can't accept your panel because I already accepted another panel that is too similar to this. Okay, that's a bad system. To just accept panels as they come in is not good. It's just poor organization. Better run panel heads and conventions usually set a deadline, wait till all the panel submissions are in for that deadline, and then sort through the panels. That's just my opinion. It's personally my opinion. Don't accept panels as they come in, please. So I'm like, well, okay, you already accepted me, so how about I do something else instead? I don't hear anything from him for weeks, like a month almost, and I had to message the Facebook page. The Facebook page was actually the thing I got the most communication out of. And they're like, oh, well, we'll email him to email you. And he's like, oh, sorry. He finally emails me and he's like, oh, sorry, I had family and stuff. Look, I get family stuff, but again, you have a job to do. You need to be on top of this, or delegate to somebody who can help you in order to get this important job done. So finally, we're sorting through and I get 2 panels. I ran the troubleshooting and cosplay at 10 a.m. and the cosplay music videos at 11:30. I will say it was really nice to have my panels back to back and to have them in the same exact room. I really appreciated that. It's really nice. But since it was a morning panel and occurred right when the dealer's room opened up, I did not get a lot of attendees. So, but I'm used to that because most of the panels I've run were either early morning panels or late night panels. So it was fine. People did show up, and the people who did show up really liked it and got a lot out of it, so I'm happy about that. And it was nice to pre-run the troubleshooting and cosplay panel before I take it to Anime Fan Fest. So the panels themselves went great after all of that issue, and he didn't tell us anything about badges until 3 days before the con, and it was super confusing because he worded it in a way where he was like, send in your amount for badges, and I was like, wait, do I have to pay for badges? Turns out no, he just wanted to confirm how many people were in my panel that needed badges, which I could have easily lied and extorted him for more badges, but I'm too honest. I didn't want to do that. So picking up the badges wasn't an issue, even though they changed the badge pickup room like at the very last minute, but it's fine. Picking them up was not a problem. And then the other problem I had was with the cosplay contest, which was labeled as cosplay contest, but then on the schedule was cosplay runway. They didn't really post up rules about the contest. I think they kind of did on a separate page that wasn't linked to the actual submission. But even then, it wasn't very clear. Like, it didn't say you have to make this amount of your costume. This is how judging's gonna go. And anytime judges don't do like a pre-judging where they're like talking to you one-on-one about your costume, means that the contest is pretty much mostly based upon overall look and how in character you are, which I have no problem with these contests. I find them to be very inclusive, very great. I enjoy doing these kinds of contests. I did it at MGIT MiniCon. These are just not your typical hall cosplay contests or whatever that you see at other cons, and it was kind of weird because they wanted to do like a mixture of hall cosplay and a mixture of the masquerade, but they explicitly said no skits, so don't send in forms and stuff, don't send in audio and all this. Honestly, they should just make a formal skit contest and make a real actual hall cosplay runway where you walk on, walk off. They actually did have a real stage, but they didn't use it for this. I personally think they should actually start running it more like regular cons. The format they had was different. It was interesting. I will give it that, but it wasn't your typical one. Again, it's good for beginner cosplayers. The way they did this was they put a square sheet in the center of this gym, and then they put chairs around it, and you were called and you walked on. You did like a 30-second thing. You either posed or you spun around. Some people spoke or took the microphone and acted in character, and the judges sat behind the person, so they're essentially watching your back. They're facing the audience, and the judges watched. Some of the people were really cool. I really appreciated all the costumes. A lot of the costumes were amazing. The people were into it. It was fun. I'm still glad that I did it. I'm really happy that I did it. Again, please don't think I'm ungrateful or totally unhappy. I'm just annoyed by disorganization. I've been to a lot of cons, so this is a critique. And so I sent in my form when it first came in, and I never received an email of confirmation. And then I heard from somebody, oh, the email was sent at 8 a.m. the day of the con. And I'm like, well, I didn't get an email. That's weird. So I kind of assumed, well, most cons like you to be there an hour to 30 minutes to an hour early, so we'll head there at 3 because it starts at 4 and is supposed to run till 6. So we get there, and the cosplay chess, the event before, is still going on. And I'm like, that's interesting, it looks like it just started. So I go talk to a staff member and she's like, oh, well, we had to move out wrestling mats, so this started late. So the cosplay contest is being pushed back as a result. I'm sorry, but typically when something starts late, you keep to the schedule. You don't just push back everything. Typically, you keep to a schedule. You made a schedule for a reason. I think the wrestling mats were from the cosplay wrestling, but again, they should have accounted for how long the takedown would have been. There was, again, not a lot of organizing. Again, the staff was really nice. It's just poor organization. I know I have to just keep saying this. Finally, cosplay chess ends, and they were like, the staff member was like, oh, we might have to boot you out so we can set up. Essentially, their setup was to take the chessboard and flip it over to the backside. That was their setup. So I will give them, they started like I think 20 minutes late and they did not go until 6. They went till like 5 something, like 5:30, not even, I don't think. So I do appreciate that they were able to make up for that time. They're like, oh, everybody check in. So I come up and they're like, oh, we don't have you on your form even though you say you're pre-registered. But there's a lot of blank spots here. When did you register? I'm like, I told them when. They're like, oh, I guess the form just didn't go through. They used Google Forms. It doesn't make sense. So they literally watched me as I retyped in my information. They watched me as this happened. So we were forgotten about once. It's not over. So the thing starts and they're calling people up. Some really amazing people are performing and all that. And they registered people on site like 5 seconds before it even started. So finally it starts to get to those people and I'm like, this is really weird. Why haven't we been called? Then the MC says, that was the last costume. Please thank all the people, da 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 da. And I panic. I'm like, they forgot us. They actually forgot us. They forgot us not once, but twice. So I run up and I'm trying to get the attention of one of the staff members. They're not looking at me. I make eye contact with one of the judges. Like, finally this other cosplayer looks at me and goes, what's wrong? And I tell them, and they run out to the MC and tell them, you skipped some people. And I really do appreciate this person for running out, speaking up for me, because I was starting to hit panic mode. I really do appreciate that. So they're like, oh my god, the male MC turns to the female and goes, oh, you should have, that's your job, da 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 da. And I'm like, you guys forgot me, you guys watched me fill this out. I'm just like, okay, we're so sorry. I'm like, okay, thank you for at least being apologetic of your mistake. So me and Kinetic, we do our thing, try our best to rock it as best we can. We do it. So apparently some other group had been skipped or whatever, I don't even know. So they finish it up, judges go to deliberate. And the way they did awards was Best in Show was first place, second place was Best Female, Best Male, and Best Group, and third place was Judges Awards. Now, if you got first or second, you got tickets to next year's Castle Point. Last year they did tickets to Michael's, and if you got third place, you got nothing. Personally, I like to have a little reminder of an award I get. Even if it's a certificate that's printed off of regular printer paper, I really do treasure that. I have hanging up in my room, you can't see it right now, but I'm gesturing towards it, almost all of my awards that I have proof of hanging up framed on the wall, even honorable mentions. I say almost because I won at 2 cons before that didn't do certificates or trophies or anything like that, and then I have one other certificate that I haven't framed yet. But personally, I like to have a little bit of a paper thing or whatever. I don't need a monetary prize, I don't need a basket of DVDs, but just a little like piece of paper for me to take home to remind this event. Essentially, I don't know, that's just me. That's not a negative thing, but that's just me as someone who competes often. I like to have a little mini memory. It doesn't have to be a trophy, whatever. The people who did win were really great. They were flippin' amazing. There was a Bane cosplay, not like Batman Bane, but like they had this really cool skull head. It was so amazing. I can't even, Osomatsu, whatever the heck that anime is with the brothers that all look alike, a main group for that one best group. They got the crowd fired up, and it was cute and clever and character, so I give them that. And their costumes looked really nice. Best in show went to Slender Man. He was a really good Slender Man. He looked the part. He was good. Oh yeah, best female was to a Mettaton cosplay, which was a really good Mettaton. They had lights, they had the chainsaws, really nice. And the best male was to the Bane thing or whatever. It really means a lot because we tried to really take the time to make something new and something based off of the lore, something that we both loved. And we spent a lot of time making our costumes. I mean, I hand sewed my costume because my sewing machine hates fur fabric. So there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into this costume, and I do really appreciate the recognition. But essentially what we won was a high five. Again, a certificate would have been nice. I'll make my own post-it note certificate, it's fine. That honestly was like, that's not even a negative. I really wouldn't consider it a huge negative. That just makes me sound like a spoiled brat. Again, it was a really nice con. I do enjoy that con. I'm really glad I went. I don't regret going to that con. I just wish that it was better organized. It's really on the fence for me to go back next year just because I feel like I've outgrown it a bit. It is what it is, but I am really happy I went, and I mean, props to the staff for being super positive and super nice despite all of the problems. Again, I'm really happy I went and saw my friends, and special thank you to everybody who complimented me and Kinetic on our costumes, because that really means a lot. And I'm really happy that everybody loved this monster of a costume that we have been working on together. And hopefully I didn't ramble too long. See you guys next time. Bye!